Peace, everybody. Mumtahana here on this semi-bumpy road. So hopefully my camera will stay put. We shall see. Like everybody else, I wanted to make a video just talking about the Jill Stein and Butch Ware interview on The Breakfast Club that aired a few days ago. I really enjoyed it a lot. I was a little concerned before I saw it of how they would sort of fare there, because exactly what happened is what I was expecting to sort of happen or could have happened. But I think it turned out really, really well. I think Jill Stein ain't nobody to mess with. And I think that she and Butch did a really, really good job at explaining Green Party, at keeping their cool, at remaining firm in their conviction, and just navigating that whole space really well. But where I initially planned on sort of talking about the interview itself and pointing out a couple of things that I was concerned about, I'm actually going to touch on points that are making their rounds around the internet and from people who are in opposition of the Green Party, but pertaining to that interview itself. And so y'all probably know what I'm going to talk about. A few key things, maybe about 4 or so key things. So one of the things that you keep seeing going on and on, people are making TikToks and stuff like that, is the infamous misnumbering of how many people are in the House of Representatives. Y'all, first of all, nobody in that room probably knew. The vast majority of people who are condemning Jill Stein because she didn't know it, I'm sure they didn't know it either. I would expect Angela Wright to know it, because to her point, she's cut her teeth on Capitol Hill. This is where she grew up, she said, so far as her career. So why wouldn't she know? But also, why would Jill Stein need to know? Because again, to Angela Wright's points, she has no allies there. So what? 600, 200, 3, it doesn't matter. So what? The power comes from the people. So that to me is not a problem. But I'll remind you of the numbers that she did know. She knows how many people are on the brink of homelessness and how many paychecks, 1 to 2, is between them, people who are workers, between workers and being homeless, losing their apartments and stuff, because what did she say? I think like 30 to 40% of the average American's pay goes just towards rent. Listen, I know, thank goodness I bought my house when I did back in 2017. So I don't have those particular issues so far as rents. I have mortgage, of course, but it's extremely reasonable because I bought my house right before home prices went through the roof in Pennsylvania. But when I see the prices that they have to pay, renters have to pay, just in my area, they more than doubled in the past 7 years, 6-7 years, which is ridiculous. Pennsylvania used to be a very reasonable place to live. And even in New Jersey, when I go back home to Newark and to East Orange, rents are astronomical. And like for apartments in the hood. So if you were to get like a 2-bedroom for if you were to get a 1-bedroom for $1,200, like, you are lucking out. And that's just, it's ridiculous. So anyway, she knew those numbers. She knows the number of how many dollars it would take to give reparations to descendants of African slaves here in America. She knew that. She knows how many people are without health care. She knew the numbers that matter. How many seats are in the House of Representatives is irrelevant, like, truly. But y'all, I think people who keep going on and on about that, she didn't even know how many people in the House of Representatives, I ain't voting for her. Stop. You weren't going to vote for her in the first place. But I think those people either did not listen to the entire interview, and or they're just hell-bent on saying no to Jill Stein and the Green Party, whatever. So that was something. Another thing, and they won't be in chronological order, I'm just really trying to remember. Another thing, with Butch Ware mispronouncing Kamala Harris's name. And when I tell you, the women in there were about to lose their ish. It's like, Kamala. And he did it a couple of times, and he, the one, oh God, I forgot to look in, I forgot her name. The other woman who was in the room, she said to him at a point, she made a comment to him. Well, they both, I think, made a comment to him like, well, but you do know how important it is that you say her name right? Because he was saying, like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just used to saying another name in Wolof that is, like, so similar, and so I keep, like, confusing them. And, they were like, well, you do know how important it is to say her name properly, right? And then the other woman said something to the effect of, like, especially when you're sitting over there with the other. Two things. One, I recently went to a Hindu temple and was talking with the chairman there. He is from India, still has his thick accent and everything. He mentioned her. He said a cute little dad joke, but he says Kamala. So it's not that that's not how you say her name. She and her mother, whomever else, pronounces it Kamala, and I am of the belief that you say someone's name in the way that they want it said, because that is their name. However, for people to come up with this, you're being disrespectful, you're being racist, and all this kind of stuff. Some people just simply cannot say Kamala, because when you look at it, it reads to people Kamala. So the accent is just in the wrong place. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing it on purpose or because they want to, disrespect the black woman. You know what I mean? But the other thing with those statements, and especially with the whole other comment, is, am I missing something? Do they not realize that Kamala Harris is also sitting with the other? That her running mate that she chose, or her donors, whomever chose, as a white man. So you have white Jill Stein, black Butch Ware, you have black Kamala Harris, and white Tim Waltz, whatever his name is. So what's the difference? And also on top of that, not only is Kamala Harris sitting with the other, she is sleeping with the other. Like, I don't understand. These little ridiculous racial tropes and racist tropes, come on, man. If you're bringing somebody on there to talk politics and to have an intellectual or educated conversation, stop bringing it down here because your feelings are hurt. Maybe you shouldn't be in the room if that's all you seeing is that this is a white woman and you don't want to hear nothing she gotta say because she a white woman and the VP Harris is a black woman, and to you this is a conflict. Maybe you shouldn't be sitting at the table trying to have a supposed adult conversation. And let me add, not only, which don't mean nothing to me, obviously, but you know, my grandmama and granddaddy did that long time ago, before it was cool or you know, en vogue. But on top of that, Kamala Harris's husband is a Zionist. I don't know why people never really seem to bring that up. So, like, stop. Get that on out of there. Another thing, going with the whole, the same racial thing that was happening there. Angela Rye. Well, okay, wait. It's a couple of things. But let me go ahead and say this first. Angela Rye being all in her feels because I don't recall right now the question or statement that she put to Jill Stein, but Jill Stein said, you know, and again, big ups to Jill Stein, because she did not come in there with her tail between her thighs, okay? She was like, excuse me. But Jill Stein's retort was, well, those are exactly the talking points that the imperialist, you know, colonizer, whatever, white supremacists, and of course, because in my opinion, Angela Rye was sinking. With everything she was coming with, she was sinking. And so, as people oftentimes do, she gonna go to the race thing. Or what you're not gonna do is call me a white supremacist and all that. She didn't say you were a white supremacist. She didn't say that Angela Rye was a white supremacist. That's Angela Rye's guilt, knowing that this is true. These are white supremacist, imperialistic tropes that you are spewing. And so, don't get in your feels. This is what you're doing. So, like, nobody can call you out on that. And so when she started with this whole, you gonna come up here and you talk stuff to women of color, and that just, you know, Butch Ware made a statement accusing Kamala Harris of using blackness as a weapon. And that is exactly what Angela Rye did. Using blackness, people of color, as a weapon, because she couldn't get with this white woman with what she had prepared on her little pad or whatever. And so she going to try to take it there. And once again, big ups to Jill, because they ain't seem to make her blink. Like, go ahead with all that. That ain't what I said. Bam. How about these stats? How about that stat? And so I just put both of those things I wanted to touch on together. Angela Rye getting peed off about her. She's saying she felt she was being called the white supremacist, or I'm sorry, that she parrots white supremacists. This is what you do. And oh, excuse me, I'm not talking directly to her. This is what she does. You know what I mean? She's a lawyer. Lawyers, you know, they got that gift of gab, and they try to like break you down and scare you and like, what about this? What about that? And Jill Stein was ready for it. You know, they brought the whole Russian thing up, and she's, you know, Angela Ryan, I'm like, well, why were you sitting at the table? But why were you sitting at the table? But why you sitting? You know, like, yeah, but you were there to talk to the Russian people. She's like, no, that was a global media event that was going on, and no, he wasn't sitting with me. He was sitting at the table for 10 minutes across from me, but it's not like I could talk to him with everything that was going on. I could only talk to the guy to the right of me. And then, one of the things that really, I was like, go girl, with Jill, when she also had the opportunity to say that the cyber organization who started that whole thing about her being, you know, a Russian pundit or what have you, they were, I think the following year maybe, they disbanded because they were caught doing exactly what they accused her of doing. And so this is not a reputable company for y'all to even try to go with in the first place. But on top of that, she was investigated for several years, and it was found that it's not true. She wasn't working with Russia. So But also, are we going to keep trying to pretend that Trump was not fully, publicly, unashamedly dealing with Putin throughout his presidency? He even allowed Putin to come over here, and they had a closed meeting where they didn't allow journalists or anybody in. Are we going to pretend that this didn't happen? These are the things that get on my last nerve, you know? Of course, that's just how we do things here. So yeah, all those things that were happening, that were going on, she touched on. Ultimately, I think that while, you know, Angela Rye and AOC and all these people keep, oh, and with AOC, another thing with Angela Rye trying to do a little smackdown with showing how many times Jill Stein has run in various elections and lost, means nothing. But then for her to be in her feelings, again, very emotional in that room, but for her to be in her feelings again and say, well, AOC is the only one of you who has actually won an election. So what? People, all the people who are in office who do nothing for the American people, nothing for Black American people, nothing for indigenous people or women or gays or, you know, people with disabilities, they've all been elected. What does that mean? Zero. You know, so no matter how much all the people who want to push this idea, you know, I see these clickbait headlines about, you know, how Angela Rye, you know, got with Jill Stein. She really did not. And all these things, no matter how much all these little opposition shorts and reels and videos and articles go out, the fact is, if you look at the comment section under that video on the Breakfast Club's YouTube page, people caught the BS that was happening in that room by Angela Rye and the rest of that Breakfast Club team. And I give Charlemagne some leeway, because he seemed like he was trying to be a little neutral or what have you, and was also giving them the opportunity to actually speak. So no matter, you know, what people are trying to say on a little, you know, on the outskirts of this whole thing, what's really happening here is that people in the comment section are letting you know they caught what was happening there, and they actually heard Jill and Butch, and are really like, you know what, I'm digging them, and I'm gonna look into this Green Party a little bit more, because reparations, how long have African Americans been fighting trying to get reparations? Kamala Harris for sure ain't talking about doing no reparations. And she said herself, like, she can't do nothing, just, you know, she can't be a president just for Black people, basically. Well, you don't have to be a president just for any group, but you can be a president for all groups, which is what Jill Stein and Butch Ware have in the plans. And you know, you can be fully for Black American people and also be fully for indigenous people and still be fully for women and still be, you know what I mean? And this is called equity across the board. And so to Jill Stein's point, the Green Party does not take money of any sort from any donors or millionaires or anyone. Therefore, there's a liberation in that, when you do not have to be scared to step over here, step over there, because there's always going to be somebody breathing on your back like, nah, this is what you got to do, this is going to make the money, this is, you know, whatever they talk about in those spaces. When you have the people backing you, then you have the opportunity to do what the people need. So I did that. And by the way, after that interview, I think like the next day, the Muslim American Public Affairs Commission endorsed the Green Party and are backing Jill and Butch to be the next presidential elected, the next elected president and vice president of the United States. And as I've said in another video, Don't get caught up in, oh, this can't happen, this can't happen. Why can't it happen? We have seen things happen plenty of times that we didn't expect. Barack Obama was pushed into office. Who saw that coming? You know? Even for Kamala Harris, a black woman who has 2 immigrant parents, running for presidency, what is the current vice president, and then running for presidency. Things happen all the time. We, the people, have the power. Us, not them. You got to remember that. And we have to get out of our own way. I was thinking earlier, it reminds me of, there's this, I don't know, we call it a proverb or whatever, but I've heard people from different religious backgrounds use this story. So there was a terrible storm going on, and it was like a flood warning, and everyone was supposed to evacuate the town. But this man, he said, I'm not leaving. My God is going to help me. So everybody's evacuating in his neighborhood. One of his neighbors comes by with his truck, and he's like, hey, come on, we got to get out of here. He's like, I'm not going anywhere. My God is going to save me. So, a little bit of time goes by, and the water is rising. Rescue crew come out in their boats to get any, people who are left behind. Tell them, come on, get in. We need to help you. We're going to get you out of here. You're going to drown. He's like, no, my God is going to save me. He's up on the 2nd floor at this point. They're like trying to get him to come. He won't come. I got faith. I got hope. My God is going to save me. So what are they going to do? They leave. They're going to help the people who want help. Water rises. Now he's on the roof. Emergency team come through with a helicopter. Hey, come on. You're not going to make it. The water is going to keep rising. I'm not coming. My God is going to save me. As you probably figured out, the man drowns and dies. When he gets on the other side, he says, God, why didn't you save me? Why did you let me die? You know the fear I have of water, but I didn't, give up on you. I prayed and I prayed and I had faith. I prayed and I prayed and I hoped. I prayed and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. I didn't go off with the people who came by. I prayed and I believed in you. I didn't go with the enemy. And God looks at him and says, what are you talking about? I sent you a truck. Your neighbor only had just enough room for you to get in there, but you didn't want to go. I sent you a boat. They were supposed to go the other way, but I sent them to you. They didn't know you were there. You didn't want to go. They couldn't get you to go, so I sent the helicopter one last time. You still said you didn't want to go. It's not my fault. You are the one who decided you didn't want my help that I sent to you. Creator does not help a people unless they help themselves. You can't keep sitting back, wanting and hoping and wishing that massa is going to someday miraculously love black people and give us our just due. Give us our reparations. Give us our public schooling with good books and good equipment like they do in the more white and affluent areas. You can't keep hoping and praying that our infrastructure in our neighborhoods are going to take priority at any point, because we pay our taxes too. You gotta stop sitting back hoping and praying and one day they're gonna have humanity. I believe in it. My God is a good God. No, your God gave you the good sense to be able to get up on your own 2 feet and demand justice. Jesus did not sit around hoping and wishing. He got up and he was about that business. He told his disciples, you don't have swords, go sell your coats, get some swords. We're going to have to get busy in a minute. He didn't sit around, and he had, according to, Christian Christian tradition, he had a direct line to, God or what have you, as they say. He ain't just sit around. Muhammad didn't just sit around. In the Muslim tradition, he had a direct line to the angel Jibril. He ain't just sit around. He was like, we're going to have to fight now. We're going to have to do some things. And that is going to help us. Us standing up and demanding our rights is going to help all people across the board. So for us to think that we holier than those two, come on. And that all we have to do is sit around. They say what? Jesus said, was it Jesus? Anyway, I'm gonna leave that one alone because I don't remember the Bible that well. My point is, we have been sent the means because people have been building the Green Party for years. To some people, winning the seat in the now is what it's all about. To other people, gaining momentum, gaining velocity, gaining a secure, a firm structure is the winning. And it may not always happen in the now. I personally believe there's a great chance that we can indeed win the presidential and vice presidential seat now in 2024. But it's that it has to take the people. Nobody can do it alone. Jill and Butch cannot do it on their own. And they don't want to, and they shouldn't have to. But that's never going to happen. That's not how it works. It's not how it works for Kamala. It's not how it works for anybody. It takes a whole unit. And us sitting back and bickering all the time about nonsensical, subjects or little bits and pieces. Oh, she didn't know how many, and all these kind of things. What really matters here? What is really going to matter? And also, let me just say too, because for all the being upset about Butch not pronouncing Kamala properly and all these little things that don't really matter, they never once touched on any of the stats, any of the facts that Jill and Butch put out there, including about the genocide happening in Gaza. And I have a real problem with people, and African American people particularly is who I hear it coming from, having a problem. Why should we care about what's happening over there? What about what's happening over here with us in Mississippi? And what about what happens to us with the police? And what happens with... First of all, Kamala Harris and them ain't doing a damn thing for any of those people who are constantly coming up with, what about us? Yeah, what about you? Because they haven't done anything for you in all this time. And they have been sitting at the helm. Remember, Biden was there already for 8 years. And then he's been there now for about 4. So that is approximately 12 years. And he hasn't done a damn thing for you yet. So why are you still wishing and hoping that the Democrats are going to do something? Because Kamala has pigmentation in her skin? I'm going to remind you again, her husband is a Zionist. That doesn't necessarily mean that she's a Zionist, but it lets you know and we know from her policies that she copied and pasted, that she is for Zionism and she supports it. So much so that she married one, you know what I mean? So they haven't done anything for you up to this point. Why do you keep on hoping and hoping and hoping and hoping that they're going to do something, and they're showing you they don't give a damn about you? But on top of that, I just don't understand why we always have to have this or that rather than this and that, or them versus us rather than them and us. This is what the Green Party stands for. It's no dividing and, oh, I could do something, but I can only do something for you and just that much. I know you got 500 things on here. We might be able to pull off 3, but maybe, you know, depends on our donors type thing. We have to, people get mad at me sometimes when I start talking about, you know, black supremacy, you know, or black supremacist ideologies and thinking, and that, you know, if you close your eyes and listen to the average black person, you really hear like a white supremacist and things of that nature. But that's truly what I believe. And one of them is that there is this, no, me, black people, and not even all black people all the time, black people that I'm affiliated with, because that's who I care about. Them mofos over there can get theirs the best way they can. We are very, very selfish in this country, and we have been for a very long time. And for all the memes and, you know, 50 and 60-year-old videos that we share on social media with Malcolm talking and, you know, James Baldwin and all this, we ain't really about that life. And if they were here, they'd probably be canceled, because ain't nobody really trying to do what they said do. You know, it sounds good and it sounds pretty when you don't actually have to implement, and when you don't actually have to stand for those principles that you say you have. But if they were here, people won't be trying to rock with them. From the information that we have about them, from their speeches and writings and interviews and stuff like that, who do we think they would have been with? Would Malcolm have been with Jill Stein, a white Jewish woman, or Kamala Harris, who is, again, to Jill's point, it takes nothing for Biden and Kamala to end this. Bam, just like that with a phone call. You think Malcolm will be with Jill or Kamala? Like, seriously. Because not only was he no longer a black nationalist, but he was a thinking man, and he was also extremely pro-Palestine and anti-genocide for all people. So who would he have been with? Who do you think Baldwin would have been with? These were not soft-hearted people. These were not people who could be intellectually manipulated and politically manipulated just by, you know, oh, let's put somebody on this going to dance like black people. Yeah, we're going to go with those people because they respect black people. Look, she's twerking. You know what I mean? You can't get them with, you couldn't have gotten them with those types of things. So I'm just saying, y'all, like, we really have to, Lord have mercy, we got to do better. I saw something one time that said, vote in accordance to how you want your grandchildren's world to be. We got to stop thinking in the here and now. We have to think long term. Hell, whoever's watching this right now, you, me, we could not be here tomorrow. Then what? But you want to lay down tracks for the people now to benefit from, but for those benefits to be long lasting, for those who won't really have anything to do with us. And we can't only care about the communities and the people that we are affiliated with. That is not humanity. I know so many people that like to say that they're, you know, I love humanity. Your actions show if you love humanity or not. And I'm so sorry to say, most people don't love humanity. They love what is going to make them feel good in the here and the now. And that's just not cool. That's not Christ-like. It's not following the Sunnah.